You'll be pleased to know that my Hull City side on Champ Manager at 102 won the Division 3 title.
So you touched my knee when you said that. So are you talking to me or are you talking to everyone at home?
I'm talking to you, I'm directing it to you, but
Okay.
I think really we're talking to the wider world, because I know that you don't really care.
I thought you'd gone off it. I thought you said to me that it had kind of gone away as quickly as it arrived.
It's 2 weeks, but I finished off the season. Signed Andy Payton from Burnley, returning hero. He scored a few. He was a veteran. Signed young Ben Burgess from Blackburn. He did really well back end of the season. Got promotion, signed a few different players, but lost interest. So I'm on hiatus at the minute.
Have you replaced it with anything else?
Not at the minute, but it's been a bit of a week, but for reasons we weren't going to. But yeah.
Oh, I think we might have to, because I think that my jolly repartee this week might be in small doses, because I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And it has been one of those weeks. So yeah, just for everyone at home, we ended up back in hospital again this week with our small troublemaker. Everything is fine, before anyone worries. Everything is fine. But we did end up having a little trip in an ambulance and going back to the hospital and being checked over because premature. Our son was born very premature, and prematurity comes with some sort of long-term consequences. Doesn't sound like a good word, but you're going to have some challenges when you've been ventilated for 4 months.
I think you rang the doctors just to make 111, the non-emergency advice line, just to make sure, just to sanity check what we should be doing. And as soon as they heard his story, they pressed the panic button, and there were blue lights flashing down the street. And
I got slightly told off by the 111 lady, who just sort of, I was going, well, we've been in worse situations. I've seen him when he's been much, much worse than this. And she just sort of went, as a mother, you cannot take that risk. And I was like, yeah, but as his mother...
That is so British thing to do as well, isn't it? I'm sorry to bother you. My leg's hanging off, and I'm just wondering whether,
Well, you just never know with these things. But yeah, she absolutely did the right thing, and we did, we ended up back in the place that we're well known.
Yes.
So his favourite nurses were coming back out again, and we were very, very well looked after, and thank you to, not that they'll be listening, but thank you to everyone who looked after us on that particular day.
They might.
I don't think they would. What were you mentioning the podcast in the old ambulance?
This is why we need merchandise, isn't it?
What? So I'm just packing his bag.
Ambulance is coming quickly! Change your t-shirt.
Oh yeah, you've got to laugh. You have to laugh. You have to laugh, because if you don't, you'll end up in a ball on the floor thinking, what has my life become?
Yeah.
But yeah, everything is fine. Just to reiterate, everything is fine. He's grumpy and not feeling particularly 100%, but he's out of the hospital, and we are probably in slightly worse position because we haven't any sleep.
No.
So he's fine.
So this could be either a triumph or a disaster, this podcast.
Well, that's why I wanted to mention it, because I thought, I don't even know what I'm saying half the time, because sleep has been very interrupted. And I found myself this morning, even when I went for a lie down, I said to you, didn't I? I woke up and my hands were clenched into little fists, which kind of shows you where you're at, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, very much. I mean, obviously, whenever you go into hospital now, especially with things that do ask you, you need to go get a COVID check. So that was fun, but
yeah, can I talk about that? Because,
yes. So
going to the COVID test centre, and I'm not making light of it whatsoever, but we've had a week, and I'm gonna just go into where my brain went. Going into the COVID test centre, all I could think about, and it's probably because we've been doing this podcast for so long as well, and we've sort of been living our lives through what we're watching on the telly and thinking about film and analysing. I was working out in my head, and it's probably a protective mechanism as well, working out in my head what film it reminded me of. And I started thinking of things like Children of Men, a lovely little dystopian future tale.
See, to me, it's Big Tent, and it's E.T., the bit where they put the tube onto the house to get him out, and yeah.
And it was because there was a lot of polythene. I'm doing a thing with my hand. Where you have doors that you push open, but they're not doors made out of wood. They're made out of plastic. They've made some plastic doors for you to go through. like in E.T., where they cover the house in like that plastic. Why? Yes, I know you're looking at me.
I'm just enjoying this, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
What's it called? Is it just plastic? Like plastic sheeting?
Yeah,
but
I
a
know
bit
what you
harder
mean.
than normal, and you've got to push to go through. But
Well, I mean, you said a bit harder than normal. Like plastic can be any kind of thing.
But you know, like not. It's a bit substantive. It's not just like a sheet flying off in the wind, like in Flatliners, and another Joel Schumacher reference. Yeah, I know. See, this is what I mean. This is why we have to explain why I'm sort of in this state of mind. But anyway, yes, it was like that. So your thing was very jolly. Your E.T. reference.
Oh yeah. E.T. getting
thinking...
dragged away from Elliot. Yeah, just laugh a minute. That it's the happiest bit. I think they're going to replace the Amblin logo with instead of the bike taking off, actually him being dragged away from Elliot, and Drew Barrymore shouting, "He's the man from the moon."
The man in the moon. So yeah, always thinking of the film references as I went into the dystopian tent. Wasn't thinking of E.T. at the time, although I wish I was at that point. But yeah, it was an experience, I have to say. It was an experience. And what an experience to take your small child, which you have been trying to, like, where you've been avoiding people for like probably a year, you know?
Yeah.
But where do you want to take him? Oh, just take him into the place where all the other infected people, like, we're fine as well.
Yes.
But where people who might think that they are infected all congregate.
And it was a chilling thing of I was this morning looking up where I can get beer delivered, same day delivery.
Yes, you having a good
until
look
we
at
got
that.
the results back. The idea of 2 weeks probably says a lot about me. I wasn't bothered about groceries, but if I can get same day delivery on beer, Amazon Fresh apparently. Who knew?
Oh yeah, I wasn't that keen on that. But you know what other choice do you have when you want to get your beer the same day?
Yeah, we'll find a way. Life finds a way.
Oh, what a segue. So what have we got? We've got this week. We've got a couple of tellies.
A couple of tellies
and a couple of films. Right. Do telly first.
Yeah, let's do telly first,
Why-
as tradition
why break
dictates.
the structure of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. Telly.
Watching television.
It's back.
It is back.
Masterchef, The Professionals.
In a slightly different form, but still kind of the same.
Well, no, I mean, it is kind of the same, just people are stood a bit further apart.
So this is the BBC show, Masterchef, The Professionals. It used to just be Masterchef Amateur Hour, wasn't it? Remember Lloyd Grossman?
Lloyd Grossman.
Yeah.
Everyone stood in a circle, like 4 kitchens in a circle.
Yeah, with lighting.
Do you know what? I'm not actually remembering MasterChef. I'm remembering the Reeves and Mortimer sketch of MasterChef.
I remember everyone being
It's a show cake.
It is that week, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember everyone being in like little square kitchens and they had neon lights above them. As like different lights as well. To denote, well, that's a different person in a different kitchen.
And as Lloyd Grossman glided between the
and it was very dark as well. Whereas this, well, it's been going forever, hasn't it? The new version MasterChef.
Yeah.
With Greg Wallace. And,
our hero, Greg Wallace.
Oh, I love Greg Wallace so much. Marcus Waring, the
Yes.
chef, and Monica Galetti,
Yes.
also chef.
I don't think a lot of people who will listen to this podcast will watch MasterChef The Professionals.
No, I agree.
I didn't used to listen. I just didn't used to watch it until we got together, and then I was like, "Oh God, you." Shall I tell you what drew me in? So obviously, this is professional chefs, people who work all the way through a kitchen, people from quite junior chefs who've got quite a lot of ambition, all the way up to head chefs, people who have got very established, well-run restaurants who just want to probably get a bit of marketing, and because people who win this go on and can have careers out of this, off the back of this.
There's lots of people in our area who have been on, who have set up restaurants and got
even
a lot
just
of
finalists and stuff like that. I think it's Peace and Love.
Yeah. There's a restaurant near us called Peace and Loaf, and I'm sure it's a finalist behind that.
But yeah, so the thing that attracted me to this, because you used to have this on, and it was every night, and I was like rolling my eyes and get the laptop out. I think that the opening task on this is one of the hardest things anyone is asked to do in telly. So for those people who don't know, a chef walks into a room. There is Greg Wallace buttery biscuit base. And that's what we're going out on tonight.
Do you want me to put that on?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
fine, done.
And either Monica Galletti or Marcus Waring. And they set them a task, and it's probably something like, it can be something really obscure, like, not obscure for a chef, but I want you to...
Some of it is.
Yeah.
Some of it is.
I want you to prepare these scallops, deshell them, and then create this sauce, and I want these elements in there, and you've got 20 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
Off you go.
And you've only ever got really 20 minutes. They say, they always say, and how long have they got to do it? And it's always just 20 minutes, isn't it? Or they've got to debone a fish and cook it in a particular way, or steam it in a certain way, or smoke it, and then serve it with these vegetables. And they've got... So when the chefs walk in, they'll see all the ingredients in front of them, so they get an idea as to what they're being asked to make. But there are a number of ingredients on there, so if they're going to make this sauce, it's not you've got your 2 cloves of garlic there, and then a bowl of passata, and then, there'll be all sorts in there, and they have to know which ingredients to pick.
It's basically like the middle round of the bake-off, but just without any instructions whatsoever.
Yeah.
And there are some sauces that they ask them to make where I'm like, well, I'm sure a chef would know this.
But then they don't.
But a lot of people don't.
Yeah, they come in and say, I haven't made that before. That's not the part that I'm on. I'm usually on desserts or something.
Yeah, a pastry
like
chef.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But some people, you can really tell, like, the strong chefs, even if they can't do it, you can see in their face when they're panicking. Or there's been examples where people, I should make this all the time, still manage to mess it up.
Yeah, because you've got 2, highly decorated chefs standing there. I know they've changed it this particular series where one goes in a room and one goes out. I think for social distancing reasons, or just to give it...
I think it's so that they've got someone who can commentate over it.
Yeah.
So if Marcus Waring sets the food task, Monica Galletti will sit into a room watching it on video going, he should really be onto the Hague by now. Yeah. Oh, that pan's not hot enough. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Oh, that pan's too hot now. Yeah. And then obviously they go on to just cooking a dish,
or their
2
choice.
2 dishes of their choice. I mean, it does kind of mean that the skills test kind of means nothing in the grand scheme of things.
But we've always said that over the past few past few series.
Yeah.
It's not been particularly meaningful, but it does give you an idea as to what the chefs are like.
But yeah, I think they use it as a tiebreaker as well if there's 2 chefs that are very close.
Yeah.
And then 2 go forward each day, so Tuesday and Wednesday, and then on a Thursday they have to make a meal for 2 critics.
Yes.
I need to bring up something here.
Oh no.
The thing that the shock that I found out about your odd crush.
I'm just going to bury my head in the pillow. I remember it's been a very difficult week. And so we've been watching this with very little sleep and also quite a lot of trauma attached to it as well this week. But yes, I do have I don't think it's a celebrity crush. What I'm thinking, it's more of I just find him really fascinating.
On Jay Rayner.
Yes, Claire Rayner's son, Jay Rayner. I just think he's a fascinating individual. Also, his wife works in academic publishing, so, big tick for me.
If you're not aware of Jay Rayner, just look him up. And, yeah, I'm not sure whether to set this as a bit of a diss, that this is the kind of man that you're after.
And he's in his 50s. It's not that
I'm not far off, love.
It's not that sort of crush, in inverted commas. Sorry, Jay. It's more, I just think he's such a fascinating individual. And I just think that, like I was thinking, wouldn't it be great to just go to a restaurant with him and listen to him talk about the food and the restaurants that he's been to, and he's done a lot of work during lockdown to support local restaurants and businesses. So yeah, I just
so does Marcus Rashford, but I
just like him. I like him. I find him intriguing as an individual, and that's fine. I'm allowed to find people intriguing.
I'm not. I just didn't see it coming. And
it's not you're thinking like a celebrity crush in terms of like your version of a celebrity crush, which we shouldn't go into. But
I'm sorry.
Yes. But yeah, your idea of what a celebrity crush is people that you can have romantic occasions with, and my My things for my celebrity crush in inverted commas are people I can have like a really interesting conversation with.
So would he, instead of a celebrity crush, would he better be as like one of them fancy dinner party
guests? Yeah.
That's not how you described it on the time.
I'm very tired for the 50th time.
Also worth mentioning, the best bit that happened this week.
Oh yeah, controversial.
At the beginning of the first episode this week, a card came up saying that one of the contestants had to be edited off. So it appeared that there were only 3 contestants, but in actual fact, there was someone who appeared to not be in there.
Yeah, so they had to edit the programme so that we didn't see the 4th person, but the 4th person was clearly there. Because you could just tell when they were shooting things.
In an individual skills test, that's very easy to just don't show it.
But when they're all in one kitchen, there's 4 of them in one kitchen, and you're going to have people walking behind. You went looking for it, didn't you? And did Twitter give you what you needed?
So Twitter speculated that it might be someone who worked for the Steneline group, either in food development or something like that, who had used a recipe that was part of his work contract or something like that, and therefore had to be removed from the episode. I don't know how true that is. This doesn't seem to be. Seems to have come from a person without any sort of necessarily link to the show that I can ascertain. And there's newspaper articles going, "What happened to the 4th contestant?" And none of them seem to know. So
did you just say the word ascertain?
I think that's the wrong use of the word as well.
Sorry. Do you mean ascertain?
Should we say that? Yeah?
Yes, sorry.
That sounds like... No, I do that to you all the time.
I know.
Just getting
you back for that, yeah.
Right, come on then. You speak perfectly grammarly perfect about the vow.
Grammarly perfect,
yeah. That's the name of the episode, isn't it?
This is getting better. Okay.
Very tired.
Just going to repeat that over and over again. Just insert here. Are we at the end of Masterchef then? Have we done Masterchef?
Yeah, so, I'm just waiting with notes to...
I recommend Masterchef. I know there'll be a lot of people out there who really don't care about Masterchef, but it's something to have on. We have it on in the background, don't we, a lot of the time?
While we have our tea. Check our emails. Yeah. Catch up on the news of the day.
Yeah, it's something nice to have in the background. Okay, let's do the vow. So I wasn't going to watch this because I hadn't really... I think I'd only heard, this is where I get all of my information from, other podcasts talking about it. And normally other podcasts, or TV and film podcasts, lead me into shows that I really want to watch. But you know how much I love a documentary. Can you please stop looking at me in that way while you're just waiting for me to mess up?
I couldn't say a thing.
You've got that look on your face. Anyway, so it wasn't one of those documentaries that I was chomping at the bit to see. It wasn't one of those Making a Murderer or Tiger Kings or things that had captured people's imagination that you were hearing all over the place. Let's talk about the idea behind the documentary, what the documentary is about. Have you heard of an organisation, I'm putting that in not in capital letters, I'm putting that in quotes, called NXIVM?
Only in the context of this documentary from reviews that I'd heard about it.
Yeah. So, do you remember Smallville? The TV show.
I never watched Smallville, but I know where you're going with this.
So, you know, there was Kristen Queck, I think her name was. She was like the Lois Lane type character. I think she might have been like Lana Lane or something like that. She was always next to the... You're going, no, Elaine, I didn't watch it.
It's not Lana Lane either.
Is it not?
No. Why would Lois Lane's sister be in it?
Oh, I think it is. Can we look it up?
Right, okay, right. Yes.
I'm sure it wasn't. I think they were trying to be different.
There's a different character that he dates in there's a different love interest in Smallville. She's also in not that person, but she's also in Superman 3, I think.
Okay.
Lana Lang.
Right. Okay. Lana Lang.
Lana.
Oh, okay. Let's look. Lana. That's how you say Lana.
It's Lana.
No, Lana would have an I in it. It's Lana is Lana.
Oh, yeah. I know this person from being Fiona in Eurotrip.
Anyway, a couple of years ago, I mean, it might have even been last year. I can't really remember. Insert here, tired. A while back, I heard that one of the actresses from Smallville called Alison Mack was up in court accused of sex trafficking and I can't remember the exact crimes that she was accused of, but it was all to do with manipulating and controlling women as part of a cult which was led by a guy called Keith Raniere.
Okay.
This documentary looks at that organisation, looks at the people involved in it, and follows people who were so involved in NXIVM, who were brought in, completely got on board with it, sold it to other people, and it became their life. They married people within the organisation. They made their money, although some not as much as others, as we find out in the documentary, but they made their money from from selling it to people. It's a massive multi-level marketing scam. And then we follow them as they realise this is a high control group. This is what we would call a cult. And we follow them as they start to wake up.
Is there someone from Battlestar Galactica that's also in the same thing?
Yes, there is. I was trying to think of all those.
Is it Callie
people
from Battlestar Galactica?
I couldn't tell you, but every now and again they
might have just slandered someone there, but one of the actresses who may or may not be called Callie.
Every now and again they show. Could I call them bit part actresses or people that maybe we know from shows that aren't necessarily mainstream? So your sort of your Smallvilles, your Battlestar Galactica, your sci-fi type conventions. Yeah, I mean a lot of them they're not on screen. We're just shown archive footage of them, and then you see their name come up. I mean, it was a slow burner, but it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I nearly gave up after episode 1 because it was so slow. The pace is so measured, and you want to really get to the point. You want to get to the, okay, who are these people? What are they doing? When are you going to wake up? And the first episode is all just about the science behind what they were selling in the organisation and how they were marketing it. And it wasn't very slick. Some of the videos that they showed, one of the women that we follow, she says, look, I paid an extortionate amount of money. I thought I was going to go to one of those massive conventions where you get your man at the front of the stage that hypes you up and tells you that you can do anything, that you can, you can be who you want to be and do what you want to, who makes a load of money from selling you your dreams. I'm going to get on my high horse about this because I find it morally repugnant that this occurs. But anyway, so she's saying, I paid all this money, and what happened? Well, I ended up in a dodgy old Holiday Inn, and with a brown carpet on the floor, and then I'm watching this video that's from the 1980s with this woman with dodgy eyebrows and a dodgy haircut, and the lines going down the video like proper old school, trying to sell me the dream. And she's like, what on earth am I doing here? And then you learn about the methods that they use to entice people into this program, where they're asking them their deepest darkest secrets, they're keeping those things on board, they're putting in place these weird structures. So you get a sash depending on where you are in the organisation. You must call the leader Vanguard, and you must call his chief woman Prefect, and everyone's got these names. But she said by the third day she was absolutely on board, and she's a rational, intelligent woman. And then she was selling it. She was out there selling it to people and bringing people on. Then she became a coach. And these, like I said, they're marrying people within the organisation. All their friends are within the organisation. They're all being enticed to move to a certain place. End of the first episode, I thought, oh, okay, I understand the science behind it. I understand how they're using deep emotionally, a lot of psychology, a lot of COD psychology, quite frankly, but they're making you stand in front of a class and break down, and you're meant to be having a moment, an emotional learning, all of these things that absolutely just sort of make me want to go, because I know good therapy. I know bad therapy, but I know good therapy. And these people are not therapists. They're not trained. And they're delving into people's deepest, darkest secrets and problems and vulnerabilities and trauma. And they're making money out of it. And the whole idea of the multi-level marketing within this particular framework just turns my stomach. So I went on to episode 2, and that's when it hooked me. That's when I really got taken in, because then you start to see what else was happening behind. It wasn't just we're making money out of people's trauma, we're making money out of people having a bit of therapy, bad therapy, but having a bit of therapy, and we're telling them that they can do anything. And if they feel that something's wrong with our organisation, well, that's just fear talking. That's just fear. And it's fascinating to hear the guy who was leading it, every time someone came up with an issue or a problem or but what about this, he would just turn it round, absolutely turn it round, to the point where he was contradicting himself 2 or 3 times within a short conversation. But the people who were listening to him couldn't hear that. And I found it frustrating but fascinating that these intelligent, rational people could not hear that he was talking absolute bullshit, like absolute bullshit, and so contradictory. But this is, you know, this, people are looking, and I can totally get this. People are looking for something. People are looking for a hero, and people are looking for something to fill a void in their lives.
Thus explains the entire history of cults, I think.
Yes, it really reminded me of what we now know about Scientology, for example, and the way that they use deep emotional techniques to, and also taking information from people about their secrets, which
you've got a glint in your eye there.
Why?
I could add some secrets that I think they've got on people, but
but and in this they call it collateral. So if you want to be a part of the group, you have to tell. And I mean, some of the things that they were taking pictures of body parts or telling really awful, you know, like that thing that you've never told anyone, putting that onto camera, and that, you know, if you ever broke free, that would be sent to all your friends and family. But people were doing it willingly, and that's what I find so fascinating.
Just lie.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the reason I heard of NXIVM was because of this trial, and this is what this documentary is building up to. It's showing, it's got so much archive footage because they filmed all of these events in order to sell it to people. So you've got loads and loads of footage of, you know, people very openly talking about what was happening. So you can then analyse it from the point of view of, you know, hindsight, and showing you what was happening, particularly to women within that organisation, which many of the people did not know. So not the best documentary in the world. I can name a lot more than I would put on sort of like my top 20. But for me personally, the themes and the ideas of behind this documentary I find really, really interesting.
See, I definitely have watched. I would have watched this with you. I'm not going to watch it now.
No.
Because you watched it without me. But, to be fair, you didn't know I wanted to watch it, so
no, I didn't.
Why would you ever?
Yeah.
But I found this really interesting.
It's the suck, because they're not saying, here we've come up with, you know, here's something a bit random. They're selling it as science, and that's the clever bit, isn't it? Here's a new mathematical technique. Here's a new kind of tool. Here's a tool for you. You know, and they're using that language.
But you see that all the time, certainly just everyday things, such as like the diet fad of the week, you know, like it's, this is actual science. It's proven to keep the weight off you. Yeah. No, it's not. No, it's, eat, move more, eat less. Yeah.
Yeah, and this idea of filling a gap in your life, I find it so sad that these people were absolutely taken for a ride, and everything about their lives became linked to this organisation, that their whole being. And when you want to leave, that's when shit hits the fan, you know. And that's why you're calling it a high control group, and this idea of the cult in inverted commas. So yeah, I think you would have really enjoyed this as well, because you probably, like me, would have been shouting at the screen going, don't, like, why can't you see? Why can't you see? And I found it so sad that people didn't have within them a support structure to help them with the problems that they clearly were having. These were vulnerable people, but also that they didn't have enough self-esteem and didn't think enough of themselves, that when someone comes along and says you can change, they didn't have that voice within their head saying, you know what, you don't need to change, you are brilliant as you are, and you don't need to do other things to make your life better.
But at least got to wear a sash.
No. Oh, and call people funny names.
Vanguard.
Yeah, I know. Later on, I mean, is it a spoiler if it's a documentary? I don't know. But later on, it turns into master and slave, and you have to text someone to say, "Master, can I go to the toilet now?" And you know, it goes into some bizarre. But these are grown men and women who are intelligent. You know, like in your actresses, you know, doing these things.
I mean, there's probably a lot of grown men and women that are paying to do that in
and
London clubs.
If that's what if that's what you're into, absolutely, you know, go for it with, you know, a great big chocolate bar on top, but not in this context of this vulnerable people.
Should we go talk about some films?
Yes, let's move away from cults.
Okay. So I've got two films to talk about. One I watched with you, one I watched alone. That makes it sound more vociferous.
And then also there was a big pause, wasn't there?
Yeah. Alone. So I'll start with the one that I saw today, which is The Lighthouse.
Yes, the weird old Lighthouse film.
So what do you know about The Lighthouse?
I know it's black and white. I know Robert Pattinson's in it. I know the guy from Spider-Man is in it as well. What's his name?
Tobey Maguire.
No.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe.
I was about to say, like, why do you not know? Because you've just seen it. Yeah, Willem Dafoe. I only know him from... Was he not in... Has he not been in... Willem Dafoe, does he not choose to do some quite interesting, inverted commas, films? Has he been in some Von Triers?
Yes, he was in...
Was he in the sex one? What was that one called?
Oh, I've never seen that.
I can't remember what it was called. Maybe he wasn't.
Nymphomaniac.
That's it. Was he in that?
Yes, he was.
There we go.
I mean,
Brain working, salty.
I know him from Antichrist as much as anything, which is another Lars von Trier.
Is that a Von Trier? Oh, I'm doing well.
I mean, have you ever seen that?
Nope.
That
Not
has
going
things.
to.
Yeah, I agree.
I know what's in it.
That has things that has stayed with me
Not
all
for
the way
me.
through.
Thank you.
Oh, now I'm remembering bits of it.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, there is a lot of things. Probably not best to watch.
No. Anyway, so Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe are in a lighthouse. They've both got beards, and it's black and white, and that's all I know.
Well, that's basically the story.
Is that it?
Yeah, they are on an island in the middle of the Atlantic, New England area of America, and they are lighthouse keepers that are sent out for 4 weeks at a time to this island, along with supplies, and they man the lighthouse. And as you can probably imagine, things are not as they seem. This film is filled full of paranoia. It's filled through claustrophobia. The framing of it is actually almost a perfect square.
Okay.
So it's not widescreen. It is.
It's a telly.
Yes. Well, no, it's even thinner than even an old-fashioned style telly.
Really? Did that not drive you mad? I would be like, my eyes would want the screen to be filled.
Well, no, because you don't watch things. You don't watch old things that are in like a normal frame rate and a full screen, do you? With it stretched out.
I don't know what you're talking about there, but probably.
Right.
What do you mean?
So if you want to watch Frasier, say, or pick a random thing from the 90s.
Okay.
If you watch it,
it's a bit.
There are bars on the back and the side of the screen.
Oh, I've not noticed that.
You don't watch it with like it stretched out.
Yeah, but even that's the point I'm trying to make is that those bits on the side are annoying, aren't they? So why would you...
I don't see them.
Okay. Right, fine.
Anyway, so, I mean, this framing works for this because I think it just makes the frame smaller. It makes the shot more cramped, and it just adds to the claustrophobia that goes on in this film. These are two actors that are on screen the entire film. There are about 4 other people credited, all of which appear maybe for like 10 seconds each. And this all takes place in the Lighthouse. So this could be a very, very odd play if you wanted to.
Like
I'd love
two-hander?
I'd love to see it. As the loneliness and the weather and the setting and their backstories both drive them mad. It's essentially the storyline. I'm going to go on a bit of a rant about me here.
Okay, carry on.
I get the feeling if I'd have seen this in the cinemas, in the cinema. God, I'm not having a good night tonight. Yeah, I think this would have been a 5-star film for me.
Oh, because it's weird. Because you love a weird film, as we know.
So like,
and I know you're gonna say
I'm watching
they're not
this.
weird.
No. Oh no,
yeah.
Like Mother is a weird film. Melancholia is a weird film. Ghost Story is a weird film.
That is a weird film.
You've not seen it.
I know, but you told me about it, and that's
things.
just odd. It's just odd, and it also would scare me. Anyone standing with a sheet over their head. Just
Casey Affleck literally with a sheet over his head being a ghost.
Just not for me. I remember when you came back, you said you were going to do that, and it freaked me out for about a month, thinking one day you'd just be stood there with a sheet over your head. Anyway, yeah, so if this was in the pictures, because of the atmosphere, because of the surroundings...
Because and this reflects on me, when I'm watching this at home, I don't have the laser focus that this film requires.
Well, we don't have the laser focus scenario that any film requires, because
even without a little snotty boy
someone wants your
distracted
attention all the time.
I think this would still be... I would not get as much from this at home as I would in the cinema, where it's dark.
Yeah.
You're not distracted by, oh, look at that, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I think this is a film that requires eyes on it 100% of the time.
Okay.
And I'm sure there are people that do have the discipline just to watch this at home and block out the entire world. I am not there. Having said that, I enjoyed it.
Was it a film that was very, I want to say languid? I don't know if that's a proper word. I don't know if it's a word or if it's a word that fits this, but I just get the impression, I always get a little impression about a film, and it's probably wrong, but I just get the impression that this is very stretched out, I can't think of the word, where you're just sat there and nothing much happens.
Oh no, a lot happens.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there are scenes which are quite long for, long takes and things happen, but no, there is always, the plot is moving, if not necessarily driven on screen. It's a very moody piece, but it's not. I think in Ghost Story there is a long one shot where Rooney Mara, I think, just sits there and eats a cake. Yeah, and you just sat there watching.
That might be what you're watching them in the lighthouse, sitting down and staring into distance.
No,
right, that's how I
it
imagine
isn't that.
it. Right,
no.
okay.
But
you enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Pictures.
But I wish I'd seen this in the cinema, and I wish cinemas were open, and I wish we weren't in tier 3.
I know. For people outside of England, we are in the highest tier now. We have these tier systems.
I was about to tell them where to go. For people who live in London.
Yes, because we're listening to a lot of podcasts where people are based in London, and they keep talking about
the lockdown's over.
Off we go to the cinema. Off we go. No, nothing for us. Not allowed in a casino. Sad times. Not allowed in the theatre. Not allowed in a restaurant.
When have you ever been in a casino in the UK?
I would like to. I've been in one in Hull. I've been to the casino in Hull. With you?
You weren't sure about it though, were you?
I wasn't entirely sure about it, but I hadn't been to Las Vegas by that point, so that's it. Once I went to Las Vegas, that was it. My world was turned upside down. But yeah, I don't even care about the casino, but I fancy going because I'm not allowed to at the minute.
Oh God, you're my dad.
I know. Oh God, I am. See, that's why me and your dad get on so well, because we're both there, both of a similar mind.
Oh. Anyway, so yeah, look, give it a go. Not you.
All right,
100% not you.
Definitely not me.
If you fancy a if you liked Antichrist, you might like this. That's one for the poster. The Honeymoon Period podcast.
Wow.
If you liked Antichrist, you might like this.
Okay, not one for me then.
No.
But enjoy everyone else watching this amusing piece of film with a small screen.
Get over that. I don't understand why you such... It's black and white as well. Did we go over that?
Yeah, we've said that. I've said it about 3 times.
Okay.
Anyway, from black and white to sumptuous colour. What a segue.
Should we talk about a film that we both saw together?
Yeah, David Copperfield. What's its full title?
The Personal History of David Copperfield.
I'm going straight into it. It's wonderful. This film was just... I loved it so much, and it was so colourful and vibrant and amazing, and we haven't talked about this at all. We didn't even go save it for the podcast in inverted commas.
No.
We just haven't had a chance to talk about it. I absolutely loved this. Please tell me that you love this too.
This was like being at a party full of really entertaining people, of which I am not involved in any of the jokes.
Oh no.
And I think there is a lot to be said about, like, that's an enjoyable experience, see people bouncing off each other. But I just felt like I was in a room full of people telling in jokes.
I'm so sad.
I enjoyed it. I got a lot out of it.
You don't think it's a 5-star film?
Oh, absolutely not.
I think it's a 5-star film. Putting my hand up. It's a 5-star film for me.
This is what happens when you don't watch a lot of films.
The cast, the direction, the styling, the story, every single thing about this film was 5-star to me. I don't think I've seen a film like this for quite some time.
So before we get into an argument about this, well, I don't think there was an argument to be had. I think you just got a lot more out of this than me. This is a retelling of the story of David Copperfield by Armando Iannucci, who we know from The Thick of It. He's the showrunner, certainly was involved with Veep. I don't know if he's necessarily the showrunner.
Very sharp political mind.
The Death of Stalin, I think was one of his most recent films.
Yeah.
And this is a tale. I mean, there is literally every British actor of a certain genre rocks up in it.
We had a wonderful time because every time we cut to a new scene, Ben Whishaw, there he is. That's Ben Whishaw. We didn't know he was going to be in this. You know, every actor. Now I'm going a blank. You know, because I was about to list all the people.
Do you want me to list them? Because I'm on the IMDb page.
Yeah, go on.
So Hugh Laurie.
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. I'm not going to say yep after all.
Peter Capaldi. Darren Boyd. Gwendolyn Christie.
Game of Thrones.
Morfydd Clark from St Maud.
From St Maud, your other favourite film of the week.
A better film than this. Daisy May Cooper.
Oh, what's his name? Paul Whitehouse.
Paul Whitehouse. Bronagh Gallagher.
Just everyone. Everyone's in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. The casting is just superb. And I enjoyed having the moment of seeing them from behind with all of their costuming on and then them turning around and going, it's them.
Yeah. Let's not forget Ron from Goodnight Sweetheart was in it as well.
Exactly. I mean, this is what I'm there for.
So this is a not very strict retelling of the story as far as I can tell. I'm not familiar with David Copperfield at all. Maybe
this is where I'm having a really great time with it. I do not know David Copperfield at all. I know lots of Dickens. Billy Cowse is one of my favourites. Oliver Twist, you know, all the biggies.
I thought you said Billy Cowse. I was like, who's he?
But Copperfield has just, passed me by. And maybe that was part of it, in that I had no idea where this story was going, and I didn't have that knowledge of the book to be able to go, oh, that's not really how that happens, that's not really what goes on here. Maybe that is it. But I thought it was just wonderful. It zipped along, absolutely zipped along, and we had these beautiful fades in and out of different experiences that Copperfield has throughout the whole of his life.
I think there were beautiful fades in and out for maybe the first 40 minutes of the film. and then beautiful transitions from scene to scene. So people will literally pick up a book, and you will go into the book, and book will then be the next scene.
Are you about to say that doesn't happen later on in the... Because there's
Absolutely.
There's a particular bit much later on in the film where they're in a room and it starts raining within the room, and that's because you're about to transition out to the sea. And maybe you haven't picked up on things like that, but this goes all the way through the film.
But there's about 14 of them in the first half an hour, and then maybe 2 or 3 after that.
But you wouldn't want it every 5 minutes, surely.
Well, I didn't want it 15 times in the first half an hour.
All right.
To me, there are in-jokes that are clearly part of the book.
I don't know what you're talking about with these in-jokes.
So, I think little things like Tilda Swinton not liking donkeys.
Yeah, it's just funny.
But there's no...
It's a character
It's
moment.
a punchline without actually a setup joke to
It's
it.
a character moment. When we first meet her, we're meant to think she's one of those awful characters, those awful women who come in and they take over and they're going to be cruel. Well, actually, she's not. She's just very forthright, and she's a bit mad. And we're set up to think that about her. So when we later on see her in her own home and she's shouting, "Get the donkeys off the land," she's not cruel at all. She's just a little bit mad, a bit sad because she's by herself with Hugh Laurie as Mr. Dick.
I like donkey.
That's fine.
That's the name of the title for the
Is
show.
that the secondary?
Yeah.
Is that the subtitle?
Yeah.
I like donkey.
But it was a punch. I'm sure that there is. I'm certain if you know the book.
I don't think it's a punchline. I think it's just a thing. I think it's just a thing that she says. A bit like Mr. Dick thinks that he's Charles I. He is called Mr. Dick, isn't he? I haven't actually gone mad.
Something like that. No, there's something about it. Yes, it is Mr. Dick. Yeah.
Thank you.
There's something
I was
about
worried.
it, and this happened a lot of the way through, where it seemed to be relating to a larger world that I wasn't privy to.
I really don't understand that. I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't understand it. I don't understand what you're alluding to.
Okay. Well, there we go. So, 5 stars from you.
5 stars from me. I think it's a beautiful film.
Probably should
It's
have
a
the Dev. I don't think we
troubling-
mentioned the word Dev Patel.
God, we haven't. No, Dev Patel as Copperfield. I think he should have won all the awards. I thought he was amazing in this. He has to go through.
Well, it was only out this year, so it's actually up
is
for
it?
awards.
Is it going to be coming up
next year?
Oh,
yeah.
I hope it wins. I hope it wins absolutely loads. And certainly for him, he has to take us through the life and times of David Copperfield from not necessarily in that way that certain films do, where he's really young and then like he's dead old at the end and they put a load of makeup on to make it look old. But he has so many different situations in his life. So he goes from being very moneyed to being very poor to being traumatized by evil step-parents to being... Do you know what I mean? Like, just all of those transitions in his own life. And I thought there was some moments with other characters where I suspect Dickens didn't have certain things in mind, but the film now looks at those experiences with modern eyes. So you have experiences of depression in men in particular, and no way I think was Dickens thinking about mental health illness in young men, and you know at that time that he wrote David Copperfield. But now we look on it with different eyes. We look at it with modern eyes, and we can see that some young men who perhaps have a difficult relationship with parents, or having a lot of money but not being fulfilled, or trying to find fulfillment, will get themselves into a situation where they do feel that they've got no way out, and that's it's one particular character in this. I'm not saying that for everyone, but I think it really, Armando Iannucci really looks at it with, it's not just a little rich boy that's having trouble. He really shows you that here is someone who is struggling with mental health, for example. And I really like those modern eyes on certain circumstances.
I'm really glad for Dev Patel, because I think he's
so charismatic in this as well. You just follow him.
Well, he's charismatic in a lot of things. But I think after Slumdog Millionaire, which obviously what most people know him from, he went straight into The Last Airbender, which is one of the worst films ever made. Oh,
not seen it.
Don't.
Okay. I'll jump straight to this.
The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. Odd spots here and there. I'm just looking through his IMDb. Lion would be probably the big thing that sort of brought him back in. Yeah. Which is the story of an Indian boy that's adopted by an Australian couple.
Yeah.
I think it takes place over 2 timelines.
Yeah.
A young Indian boy, and then Dev Patel plays the adult Indian boy who goes back to find his heritage. And then I think he's made some interesting things. He was in The Wedding Guest recently and Hotel Mumbai. And I really hope... Oh, this looks interesting. So he's next in a TV series called Modern Love, which I've not seen anything of. It's been on.
Oh, I was thinking, I'm sure I've heard of that before, but...
Yeah.
Oh, something to mention as well before we finish. This is completely colourblind casting. It is just a great big 2 fingers up to everyone who ever even thought about complaining about this, because it just boils my... Yes, when people have the nerve to even say, oh, I can't do blah, just go away and, yeah...
And it's not even making the most of it. It is just people. There are black people who have white children, never mentioned. It's never even alluded to. And it just works. It works.
Totally. Like the best people to play the part got the part. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I did wonder how it would come off, because it's not something that you typically see, certainly in things that I've been watching.
In a Dickens.
Yeah, in a Dickens. But yeah, it was almost incidental and brilliantly so.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love seeing all those amazing actors and actresses. I love the diversity. I love the fact that you had all of those relationships. I love you just don't see it, and it's I'm gonna get off. I'm too tired to actually articulate it in a way that I would want to. But yeah, it was a proper 2 fingers up at any racists who complained about this. And
finally,
yes,
Uriah Heep's a Dickens character.
Yeah,
who knew?
We didn't know that, did we? Ben Whishaw plays Uriah Heep, and how do we know Uriah Heep?
The prog rock band.
Exactly. Who knew he was an actual Dickens character?
So you can also go out with some Uriah Heep.
Oh, that's a good... Oh, and what do you go out with this week? We've got the Greg Wallace Buttery Biscuit Bass song. That's going to be for a very, very niche audience, isn't it?
I think Uriah Heep is also for a very niche audience, and one that might not necessarily...
Yeah, I was going to have the beautiful... Because the score for David Copperfield's absolutely stunning, and I was going to go out with a bit of beautiful score, but maybe not.
Tell you what, pick some of the score of the Lighthouse.
No, I won't. What is it? Just...
largely. Yeah, that's very much the sort of... trombone based, like brass,
like a foghorn.
Yeah, sort of brass music played in the style of reminiscent of a foghorn. That's the style it's going for.
I mean, you're really making me want to watch this film.
Like I say, go to the cinema and watch it if you can. Right then.
Finish.
I think we've got some Strictly to watch and catch up on.
Really sorry, everyone, because this week's pod is a shambles. But, some people like that. Some people like the shambolic versions of the podcast, so I'm told. So this is one for them.
No, that's not true.
Right, everyone, we'll see you shortly. Next week we will be bright and shiny, and we'll actually have had some sleep.
Or worse.
Like more than 3 hours.
Or we'll be in a worse position.
See you soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Base knowledge, crunchy base, nutty base, buttery biscuit base, acid base, smack around the face. I like the buttery biscuit base, hard base, soft base, buttery biscuit base. I like the buttery base. I like the buttery base, but it needs more oomph.
Before you go, just a reminder that you can subscribe to the Honeymoon Period podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can join in the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for The Honeymoon Pod. Finally, if you like this episode and you think someone else would too, please share it. See you next time.
I like the buttery base. I like the buttery base. I like the buttery biscuit base. But it's